Ladies and gentlemen, the Midwest Slice of Life presents MAM-O-GRAM, the Marty After Midnight program. And now, here's your host, Marty! Hello, everybody, and welcome to MAM-O-GRAM, the Marty After Midnight program. Really the second episode. The first one, without the introduction, that was kind of a pilot. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks to everybody who's been tuning in the last couple days. I mean, we've gotten 50, 60 people, which surprised me. I mean, that's not a ton or a whole lot, but it's a lot for me for what I'm doing here, just telling these stories. It surprised me, but thanks for tuning in. Even if it dwindles down to about 20 people, I'll keep doing it because nice to know there's that many people that are tuning in for this. Well, I have a kind of a funny story to tell tonight because I realized that yesterday, because what time is it? It's like 12:34 right now. So yesterday on October 24th, that was the 5th anniversary. I had open heart surgery in 2018 on October 24th. So this time, 5 years ago, I'm laying in a hotel bed with like wires all coming out of me. When you get out of open heart surgery, when you first wake up, my brother Tom had gone through it, and he warned me about this. He's like, I don't want to freak you out, but when you come out of your, anesthesia from surgery, he said, you're going to kind of freak out because there's just like wires everywhere. So anyway, I was in a hotel bed, probably drifting in and out of sleep. You never really sleep that well either when you're in there. But what I wanted to tell was the story leading up to it. It all kind of started in August of 2018. I went to Louisville, Kentucky, and I remember walking around in there, and I kept getting, if I'd be walk a good distance, I'd get this chest pain, like a dull pain that kind of went up my neck. And I remember thinking, man, I hope this isn't a heart thing. Heart problems run in my family. Both my grandparents died of heart attacks. My dad had a quintuple bypass years ago. My brother Tom had I forget how many of a bypass he had. My Uncle Bob had a heart attack. I think my Uncle Bill, did he have one? I can't remember. But anyway, lots of heart problems in our family. My brother Jim died of a heart attack in 2006. So it's kind of on my mind. And I was thinking, I hope this isn't my ticker going bad. Well, we get into September of 2018. And it keeps happening. Whenever I exert myself or walk fast, I get this pain. I would just stop, sit, or do whatever, rest, or just stop walking, and it would go away. Now, coming up to the end of September, that was the first time, a lot of you probably know about this, I did a series of these shows called the Marty Monologues, where I would come out, kind of like what I'm doing here, but on a stage. I did them at the Apollo Theater, did one in New York, Chicago. I'd really like to do them again. That's a whole other thing I'll get into another night. But anyway, we were going to do the very first one on September 30th, 2018. And I kept getting these pains, though. But I was really nervous to do the show, too, but I really wanted to do it. It's one of those things that, I am a believer in stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something that it scares the living fuck out of you. It usually turns out to be a good thing, and I was terrified to do this show. It all went really good. Thanks again to everybody who came to it. It sold 180 tickets to that. Almost sold out the Apollo. It really kind of freaked me out in a good way. But anyway, I'm scheduled to do this on Sunday, so I'm kind of going around in circles with this. But I keep having this heart thing. Well, finally, it's getting worse and worse. So I made a doctor's appointment. They did an EKG. I did a stress test, passed both of those, but I'm still having the pain. So they made me an appointment with a cardiologist. Now, this is on the Thursday. The show was on a Sunday, September 30th. This is on the Thursday before. I go to see the cardiologist, and I tell him what's going on. They do a little checkup in that, and he said, with your history and what you're describing to me, this sounds bad. He said, I'm not trying to scare you, but you need to get an angiogram. That's he said, even though you passed the stress test and the EKG, I remember his exact words. He said, an angiogram is the gold standard. And if you pass that, your heart's fine. We'll figure out what's going on with you. He said, but you need to get that done like right away. I'm a little concerned with your history and what you're describing to me. He goes over to his computer, types in. He's like, great. He said, we got an opening. No, it wasn't a Thursday. This was a Tuesday. The opening was for a Thursday. I see him on a Tuesday. He's like, this Thursday we can get you in St. Francis, 9 in the morning. He said, if you're okay, go right home. Yeah, he said you might have to get stints if that's the case. You're usually out that night. And he said, let's hope, you don't have to have open heart surgery, which is what happened. So anyway, but I know that if I go and I get like a bad result, well, I'm not going to do the show then. And I thought, if I don't do this show, and the tickets had been sold, it was all ready to go. We had Sarah Marie Dillard and her husband Brandon were doing the music. My friend John Wright, DJ Juan Goblin, he was the DJ. My friends Amber and Joe would help me. They were going to work the door. And I thought, if I get a bad report, I won't do the show, and I'll probably never do it again. If I cancel it, I probably wouldn't do it. So I said to the doctor, I'm like, I can't do it this week. Can we schedule it for any time after Sunday? And he looked at me. He's like, no, you need to do this week, this Thursday. And I said, well, I'm telling you, I can't do it. Now we kind of get into a little argument, and he's kind of getting pissed off at me. He's like, if this has something to do with your work or whatever, I can write you a note. I can get you out of whatever you need to do, but I'm telling you, we need to do this week in case there's something really bad with you. I said, okay, but I'm telling you, I can't do it. And I don't want to get into why, but I can't. So can we schedule it for sometime after next Sunday? And we went back and forth a couple more times. Finally, he agrees to, but he's like kind of pissed about it. He's like, I can get you in there a week from Thursday. And I said, okay, that's great. Thank you. He's like, well, and now this is kind of one of the funny parts to me, I guess. I have a little dark sense of humor. So he says to me, okay, a week from Thursday, you're scheduled for 9:00. Go see the whoever she was out front, makes the appointments and whatever. But he said, but now until then, he said, what do you do for a job? So I told him I was a cleaning supervisor. And I said, I really don't have to, he said, don't exert yourself. When you feel that pain, do what you've been doing. Sit down, take deep breaths. And if it doesn't stop, call 911 because you're probably having a heart attack. He said, don't exert yourself. Try not to move fast or whatever. You need to really take it easy until we do that angiogram. He said, above all, avoid any kind of a stressful situation. I didn't tell him, but that Sunday, I was going into probably the most stressful situation of my life. Well, anyway, Sunday came and went. I told my friends Amber and Joe. They were really the only ones that knew. They were working the door. They helped me rehearse for this show. They've helped me out a lot with the Marty monologues. Thank you, Amber and Joe. But I went out with them that Thursday night after I talked to the cardiologist. We had dinner, I remember. And I said to them, I'm like, I'm going to tell you two something, and nobody else knows this but you two. Don't tell anybody. And I said I might have a heart problem. And if during the show I collapse, call 911. That means I had a heart attack. Everyone's probably in the show would think I'm kidding around. So they kind of looked a little freaked out by that. They said, okay. And so I do the show. I did have chest pains all through the show. Got through. It went really good. Everybody loved it. Went on to do a bunch more of Marty monologues. COVID killed that. Haven't done one since. Actually, I did one in Amber and Joe's basement. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, did the show. That went fine. That following Thursday, then I go for the angiogram. Go to OSF. They shoot dye in your side. And you got to lay for 45 minutes. And then they wheel you into a room. And the surgeon's telling me, he's like, okay, we're going to put this thing over your chest right away. We'll know. Best case is that you're fine. There's nothing wrong. Then we'll figure out what's going on with your chest pains. Second scenario is maybe you've just got a partial blockage that we can correct with stents. We can do that this afternoon. You'll be home tonight. You'll just have to be off work for a week or two. Not that big of a deal. Third, worst case scenario is you've got blocked arteries or something else, and heart wise, and we're gonna have to do open heart surgery. So let's hope that isn't it. But we'll know as soon as you put this thing over you, the dye goes in somehow. They wheel me in, turn everything on. There's nurses, whatever, and put it over me immediately. He's like, it's bad news. He said, you've got two completely blocked arteries and another partial blocked. We're going to do open heart surgery to clear those out. Then he took some other tests or whatever, and they wheeled me back into the room. He said, I'll be back to see you in about 20 minutes. Just stay in the laying down position. You're going to be able to get up. You're going to be able to go home today. You're just going to have to really take it easy till we can schedule you for the surgery. This is like the first week of October. And so I'm laying there. He comes in with he explains open heart surgery. And he says to me, he's like, it's not as bad as it sounds. And he did say to me, and this was true, he's like, people will freak out when you tell them, oh, I'm having open hearts. He said, we do it all the time now, and there's a very little risk involved. You will be, it is 6 to 8 weeks of healing time. You're going to be off work for a while. But he said it's not as bad as it sounds. We talked about it, and then I did say to him, like, you know what I did last Sunday? And he's like, no, what? I said, I put on a monologue show at the Apollo Theater. And he's like, what? I said, yeah. He's like, is this something you do all the time? I said, no, this was the very first one. I was scared out of my wits to do it. He's like, didn't the cardiologist tell you not to do anything like that? I said, yeah. He said, to avoid stressful situations at all costs. I'm kind of laughing about it. The surgeon's looking at me like I'm fucking nuts. And he's like, then why did you do it? I said, well, I knew that if I canceled it, that I probably would never do it again. And I said, I had pains through the whole show. And he's like, well, you shouldn't have done that. And I said, well, I did. He said, you could have died on stage. And I said to him, and he just like walked away from me. I really think he thought I was nuts. I said, I thought about that. And I thought, man, if you would die on stage, I thought, man, that would be for sure the front page of the Journal Star. And maybe even like, would have made it on to other papers. A guy, first time on stage drops dead. I said that would have been really a big news story here. And he just looked at me, kind of shook his head with his papers and said, a nurse will be in here to help you out to make an appointment. And then he just like walked away from me as quickly as he could. I think he thought I was nuts. So anyway, there's my little heart story. Like I say, 5 years ago, I'm laying in a hospital bed. Thankfully, everything went good. Thanks to everybody at OSF for doing a great job there. Thanks to all of you for tuning in to another MAM-O-GRAM, Marty After Midnight program, courtesy of the Midwest Slice of Life. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all. What is tomorrow? Thursday. Yeah, I'm going to do these Monday through Friday. So the weekends you won't be seeing me, but there will be another one tomorrow. And get ready, because some nights, if I'm really busy or tired, it's just going to be like, hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. That's about it for tonight. Good night. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the heart story. Can't believe that was 5 years ago. Thanks for tuning in to the MAM-O-GRAM, Marty After Midnight program, Midwest Slice of Life. Have a wonderful day today.